World War III. It is breaking out as we are speaking. We have live coverage over Israel, over Iran. We will be feeding it to you in today's show. This could spark a nuclear holocaust.
I think that's Tel Aviv.
That is possible. That is Tel Aviv right there. Iran launched a lot of missiles. The Iron Dome, once again, failing. Either it's a facade or they allowed it to get through. Those are the only two options, as we are seeing strikes that are hitting apartment buildings, some of them full of people. And if you don't think there's going to be a massive response with the U.S. backing it with the way Trump is talking, we are entering a massive global conflict that could lead to the extinction of the human race. Is that exaggerating? Is that being crazy? I don't think so. People need to understand how serious this is. We have not had a nuclear bomb dropped on a civilized city, on a city, in over 80 years. It has been 80 years since that happened, and we could be this week about to see it happen. And if that happens, what will Iran's response be? Are they going to be capable of fighting this fight? This is getting very scary, very intense, very quickly, and this is why we all warned against it.
Yeah, did you see my response last night?
Read it so everyone can hear it.
I was pretty upset last night. I couldn't sleep. You couldn't sleep either. You must have seen that I was like, Joe, you still awake? Yes.
Yeah, we were texting back and forth.
It's like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, Joe texted me, I can't sleep. I have a feeling that something bad is about to happen. And it did. It is.
Yeah, look, you're not gonna like what I had to say. I mean, some people might like it. People have been getting mad at me saying, I can't believe I've ever followed you. I can't believe that you would say those things. So let me just start by saying this. I'm not anti-Israel. I'm not anti-Jew. I'm not anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic, by the way, means people from that region. That includes Arabs and Muslims, and I'm none of those things. But I'm pro-humanity, and I've spent an enormous amount of time in the Middle East and Africa. I've taken the time to learn the language. I've studied the Quran, so I understand culturally what I'm dealing with when I went over there. I have a pretty good understanding of the Abrahamic faiths and kind of what drives people in that region, including, imams and sheikhs and people, spiritual leaders. Ayatollah, the thing that drives them. And a lot of it is the same anger that drives us. And so it's hard when you try to use the Bible as a shield. And when you use the Bible as a shield while you kill indiscriminately, you don't show me that you have any sort of intellectual honesty. And I'm not okay. Look, I'm okay with, and people were talking about Genesis, and you need to read read Revelations, and you need to read the promise that they're God's people. And I'm saying to myself, no, God, if you read the entire Bible, not just a piece, but if you read the entire Bible, he calls Christians, right? He calls Christians, you're not going to like it. Again, you're not going to like it because most people haven't read it, his people. Jesus calls us his people. That you cannot come to the Lord except through him. And so if you want to have a conversation about this, I will. But if you're not for humanity, if you can't recognize that you say, okay, they can't have nuclear weapons.
And we have
India should not have nuclear weapons.
Go ahead.
Pakistan should not have nuclear weapons. I could talk about massive countries. Let me just read this first. I want to read this. Go ahead. So last night I wrote, and I sent it to you, Apollo, so you can put it up. Are we so drunk on ignorance that we praise death and denounce peace? Where we let leaders lead us to war and not towards peace. Easy to bark from the other side of the world, the misgivings of others, while praising the death of those you believe are your enemy. Israel is a hostage to the devil itself. Netanyahu is a faithless zealot who betrayed and used the people of Israel as the useful idiots to promote genocide of people who were equally used as a human shield by Hamas. I think the left leadership is disgusting, and I think the chosen ones, right, are equally repulsive. Two football teams led by shit people, both thirsty for war, and both willing to tribute someone else's children to quench their thirst. I don't pretend that this is simple. I don't pretend that I have the answers. Yet I do know the difference between right and wrong and good versus evil. I can recognize a plan when I see it, and this is a plan to drive us to war and destroy and take what is not theirs to take. I will not stand with Israel. I stand with the innocent lives that will be lost and against the tyranny many cannot see through their blind loyalty to a godless, faithless group of diabolical clowns who make Israeli people as big a victim in this as the people of Iran. They are the Jewish people of Israel as a human. They use the Jewish people of Israel as a human shield and yell anti-Semitism anytime their evil is called out. It's a ruse. I had high hopes for peace, but the faithless atheist Jewish have much different plans. And yet we will sit and watch as if it was a gladiatorial contest or feckless cowards, preachers, and pastors tell us, stand with Israel. I got news for you. It's not Israel you are standing with or for. It's the devil who captured Israel so long ago. If you stood with Israel, you would not support those people. Again, not popular, yet the truth rarely is. I can find no worse fate for our nation than one where political desire overrides humanity. They captured what was not theirs to take, and now we watch from the sidelines while we suffer, and they feast off our flesh. You know, what I'm saying here is that we don't have any sort of maturity to the responses that we have. We did the same thing when we said, Slava Ukraine, that you have to stand up for Ukraine. And as I sit here and talk to you now, I don't want to make Russia my enemy any more than I want to make Ukraine my enemy. But you cannot look and stand on the side of the devil even for a minute. And if you look at what was happening in Ukraine with the Burisma and Hunter Biden and all the things that the 40 biolabs that they had there, and the fact that they had stolen the elections, if you go all the way back to the Maidan coup, and people just don't pay attention to facts. And you don't talk to people that are in the region. You don't understand the complexities of what we've actually built. And the CIA is the one that destroyed and put the Ayatollah in Iran to begin with. If you go back 30 years, 40 years. So we're actually installing and destroying sovereignty and pushing in people into positions of power and authority all over the world and stealing those elections. And now I got to stand up and say, I'm going to commit my American brothers and sisters to a war to kill innocent people. And don't talk to me about killing the leaders and the generals.
Yeah, four generals killed, including the top scientist, and they were killed, by the way, in their condo buildings, some of them, which included their family members, young kids that were killed as well in these strikes. That's why they were so caught off guard by it. They didn't think Israel would have the balls to basically destroy huge swaths of apartment complexes in order to take out these leaders. Clearly, they underestimated them. And we have this footage here. And by the way, that was very well said, Joe. Everyone needs to follow Joe on Twitter, on X. They're trying to censor him.
You didn't believe me until you went and saw that. I went down 1,000.
It's crazy.
I went down 1,000 in what, 8 days? Every day.
In 8 days. And this is all happening live right now. We are watching the world unfold into chaos. Go ahead and play A2 because I think this is very important for everyone to see. This is an animated graphic showing Israel's attack to take out the nuclear facilities they claim. So you can see right there. So this shows where they attacked from. So they're shooting all these missiles. They go up in the air. Boo, boo, boo. You know, maybe make the little sound effects. Scary stuff, though, because there are human beings, military, albeit, but they're human beings in these facilities. Some of them are just scientists, literally not even really that military, but they're there. And so now the missiles come, and this is something they've been planning for over a year now with a covert operation where they've been mapping this out. It's actually pretty impressive, their level of intelligence. They've been using different types of sound waves and radar in order to get this data, as well as moles that they have on the inside. Does it actually show the explosion? Because I think I'm gonna keep playing that footage. That's crazy. And so they basically have the missiles go over. They take out all of these facilities, and so Iran is responding. And we have a picture, by the way, showing all of the places that Iran is currently hitting Israel in. So this right here shows one of the strikes. And let's go ahead and play the clip. Go ahead and play A3 showing the Natanz nuclear facility on fire. That's in Iran. This is in Iran.
Yeah.
So this is a piece of footage showing after the strike happened, the facility on fire, nuclear waste likely going into the air as a result of this. If you're in the area, you're going to get cancer. You're going to have extreme health problems. You could die within a matter of days. This is on the level of Fukushima, but a much smaller scale. It's on level in terms of the level of toxicness that is being released right now into the smoke in the air. That smoke is not just going to hurt Iran. It'll go into the clouds. It'll rain down on countries that are even hundreds of miles away. Could even go to the United States. That's very unlikely. But this is something that people have to understand. If Israel decides to really go nuclear with this, if we're seeing bombs that are dropped across Iran, that does affect the entire globe. With the level of power of the bombs that we have today, they are way more powerful than the bombs dropped in Japan, 10 times more powerful, 20 times more powerful at the basic level. And so we have nuclear fallouts from these that are going to go into the clouds. We have...
Oh, we just got a thing that the radiation levels outside the Natanz facility remain unchanged.
Okay, so
this is good, actually. The type of radioactive containment present inside the facility, mainly alpha particles, can be managed with appropriate protective measures.
Well, that's lucky.
So,
I mean, that is extremely lucky because
I think
you're bombing a facility that has nuclear waste in it.
I don't think you'd get... This is where I have problems with, military does what they're told. They're mission directed. And one of the issues that I have is that I don't have all the answers. I don't. And by the way, violence is necessary. I'm just going to tell you right now. There are evil people out there, lots of them, and lots of countries. I mean, it is true that there are radicals over in countries that will use religion, they will use anything they can to attack Americans because they're jealous of Americans. They're jealous of what we have. They're jealous of what we've been able to build. Frankly, they're low IQ, low EQ individuals. So I'm not telling you that violence isn't necessary in some regard. What I'm telling you is that I cannot support what I can see with my own two eyes, which is the capture of lots of parts of our society by a fraternity of godless atheists that are doing the same thing in our country while feeding us propaganda about other countries. And we're creating a whole new class of terrorists, people that want their pound of flesh. Thank you, JC, for that update. Appreciate it.
If we're watching on YouTube right now, click subscribe. We're trying to grow on YouTube and Rumble. Our show from yesterday is now our most viewed show on Rumble, over 220,000 views. That is great to see. As this continues to grow, we will use it as a place to be a bastion of truth, where you can get information and know that you're not going to be listening to secretly paid sources. You're not going to be listening to the Israeli government who gives us money or the Iranian government who gives us money. We're covering the truth. We're covering the videos, the footage, and showing you an inside look. You will come away from the show and you will understand what is happening fully.
So who is Chris says violence is necessary because some people are dumb. Okay, so I probably correlated. Causation does not necessarily equal correlation, or vice versa. Good point. Yeah, I don't think I articulated that very well. Good catch, Chris. I was kind of a moron when I said that. I was conflating two things at the same time. I was thinking two things at the same time. We got some angles. You want to go through it?
Absolutely, we have to.
Good. What are you calling for? Oh, there's the other one.
That's crazy.
And nobody's stopping. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to keep driving." That is the weird part about the Middle East. Bad stuff could be happening all around, and they just act like it's a 7-Eleven that's having a Slurpee sale.
You hear some of the sound. Wow.
Here we go. Let's see.
What does that mean, Joe?
Over there. Yeah. Do we have another angle of it or no?
اینجا رو زدن، اینجا رو هم زدن، این لویزانم زدن، پشتم زدن، پشت لویزانم زدن.
It's from the city, I think. And then here, have we played 5 yet? The Tehran attacked? Yeah, let's do that, please.
That's crazy. I mean, it looks clearly Israel does not care how many children, women, whatever. When they want to take out the leaders, they're going to bomb the entire building. They're not taking any chances. And so the people that they did specifically target are as follows: General Hussein Salami, head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard; General Ghalemani Rashid, senior military strategist; Dr. Tantrinchi, president of Iran's biggest university; as well as Frieden Abbasi, the top nuclear scientist in Iran. So those are the 4 individuals they targeted most heavily. Those individuals, as of a week ago, as of a few days ago, were alive and in the process of trying to negotiate how a deal would look with Iran. As they want to improve their nuclear capability, Israel and the United States backing Israel wants them to not be capable of that.
Yeah, so, what they're doing right now in this war between Iran and Israel, if we just war game this out, of why could it turn into World War III? And you're starting to look at, I don't know if you've ever looked at history of World War I, and World War II was a culmination of unsettled scores of World War I. That's how it crept up. There was no settling of World War I. It's kind of a continuation with a small dip in it. and then we were able to get in, and kind of like from World War II to the Korean War and the Vietnam War, and these ideological wars that we were fighting that frankly led us to where we are today. But the dangers that are happening right now is that you just have to look at who's been declared the enemy. China's been declared the enemy. They're doing things on our soil. You have people ideologically inside the United States that are really, really bad people. I mean, you have really bad people here. These ideologies that are communist. A communist, by the way, in Russia, they would define it differently than a communist in the United States. I would argue that people in the United States don't understand what communism is, right? But then you have the communists, you have the socialists, you have all these different groups that are saying, F the USA, let's destroy the USA from within the US. And then on the outside, you have Russia fighting Ukraine, and not just fighting Ukraine, but a proxy war with much of Europe that is controlled by people who are allowing an infiltration of immigrants, not the good ones either. And I say good ones because people that want to assimilate to your culture, into that environment. So you have Middle Europe or Eastern Europe, you have Western Europe, you have Russia, you have China, you have most of the Middle East that is now focused in on Israel. Israel has captured and controlled most of what happens in the United States. And it's the fraternity, not the Jews. These are faithless atheists. A faithless atheist is just a white dude. Okay? It's not saying that you're Jewish. You're not chosen for anything. You've built a fraternity of just shitbags. That's what you've built. From judges to lawyers to financiers. You've built things, and when you step away from your faith, you get nothing from me. You have no ethics. You have no morals. And so when you have all these different countries that are fighting each other all over the place, and everyone says you have to support it. Matt, you got to support it. You got to support it. You have to stand with Israel. Christians, you got to stand with Israel. How do you stand with a faithless, atheistic Jew? How does that mean? Where in the Bible does it say follow the devil all the way to the grave? Doesn't say it. So we got all these countries that are now in opposition. We're completely separated. South Africa hates the United States. Frankly, we should hate them for what they're doing to people, white people.
Yep. Those are the good immigrants, by the way, the white South Africans that are coming here. And also the scary thing too now is that the last time that Israel wanted us to get involved in a war, what happened a matter of months later? The Twin Towers were taken down. What about the time before that? Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese for essentially no reason. They
What
were
happened between
waking
that?
up a giant.
What happened between that? What happened in the 80s?
What are you referring to? The U.S.
The Congress building being bombed
Oh,
by
yeah.
an American. Oh, I'm sorry. Bombed by an Israeli American who was pardoned after bombing Congress. Pardoned just a couple of years ago.
And when they want nukes, they take out
It's-
JFK and then they kill the guy who killed JFK, so you can't reveal the truth about it.
How is this anti-Semitic?
It's just the truth. And that's what's scary, Joe, is that they're going to do it again. I'm worried right now that they're planning, because these are evil, manipulative little bastards.
And they are little.
They are little.
They're little people.
I'm talking about the Israeli government specifically, because there's a lot of good people in Israel. We have to keep that in mind.
Look, I am not a self-loathing individual. And my family is Jewish. My family is Catholic. My family is Christian. I am like a mutt. And I'm going to tell you right now, none of my family supports what's happening with the Israeli government. They have made everything look like a nail, and they are the hammer. And they go out there with this rhetoric, and they try to sell you on the idea that it's biblical. You have to support them. Well, look, if you've read the Bible from cover to cover, please, 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 do not take me to the Old Testament and tell me it says right here in the Old Testament. Because if you can't get all the way through the Gospels and the words that Jesus spoke himself about how you get to the kingdom of God, you're not paying attention. And I'm not going to, and by the way, if you want to tell me that I have to review and I have to accept something that's written in the Old Testament, then let's accept Leviticus. Let's start stoning people for OnlyFans. Don't you think we should do that? It says in Leviticus, we should stone people for having an OnlyFans. We should stone them to death. I mean, if you pick up and toil on a Sunday, we should stone you to death. I mean, the Bible was meant to have progression.
You mean only rocks, right?
No, it's OnlyFans.
That's,
I mean, look, if
you use only rocks,
and
then,
all
you're
gay
asking for
people,
it.
we'll just kind of throw them off of bridges. I mean, let's just do
Is
that.
that the plan?
Because that's what we should do,
Just
right?
implement Sharia law. Is that the plan?
I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that we don't have humanity, that we selectively decide that we're going to follow and be loyal. Whatever, just we're going to be loyal because they're going to do the right thing. They haven't done the right thing by the American people. They haven't. Every organization, LGP, NQ, whatever it is, every single one of those organizations is run by a faithless atheist Jew. Every one of them, every single one of them, without exception. All the organization, the No Kings that are on the street, faithless, godless, atheistic, I'm a Jewish. And we don't want to talk about it. And you're like, Joe, you're anti-Semitic. No, I love my brothers and sisters in Israel. I love them. I love them. The Hasidic Jews, I love them. The people of faith, I love them because they believe and they follow God. But tell me how I believe and follow those people that don't believe there's a God that tell me that they're a God. Yuval Noah Harari. You know who he is?
One of the most evil people on the planet.
Evil. Who said that they're going to kill off 95% of the population. Well, how do you do it? They're ushering it in right now.
And did you see Laura Loomer's tweet, by the way, where she was talking in detail about how a attack by Iran is probably coming in a U.S. city soon? So they're setting the stage for this. The connections, by the way, between the Israeli government and U.S. officials are extremely strong. That's why we saw almost all of the U.S. government officials getting paid. That's how it works. They get paid money to tweet out support for Israel. Every single tweet is about $10,000. They get paid very, very, very large amounts for their support. And so in exchange for that, by the way, that money comes from our tax dollars going and funding the Israeli government. Then they take that money and use it as a war effort to pay for politicians, because part of the war effort is persuading public opinion. It's a crazy thing. But anyways, as we start to get into what is terrifying about that, they're saying that major U.S. cities, including D.C., that was what Laura Loomer specifically warned about, could be the next target of a, quote, Iranian attack. Now, if you think for 1 second, Iran wants to get the U.S. more heavily involved than the United States military already is, then you are delusional. The last thing Iran wants to do is that. They don't even necessarily hate the United States. They only hate the United States by proxy of Israel. If the United States wasn't on the top of their tippy toes, on top of our tippy toes supporting Israel, then Iran wouldn't have a conflict with us. It's that simple. And so the idea they're going to do that is not only crazy, but it suggests that there's going to be a false flag coming, that they're going to have some Iranian idiot who is going to be tricked by Mossad into carrying out one of these attacks on purpose. So then they can say, look, Iran does hate America. Iran is attacking America. Now we need to strike back. That's what they want. That's what they're desperate for. And if Trump even backs off a little bit, as he was showing some inclination to do, he was telling Netanyahu publicly, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Netanyahu didn't listen. So at some point, Trump has to say, okay, you don't want to listen. I'm not going to continue providing the level of support that we've been providing. That comes on the only caveat being you have to follow the rules that we provide to you. You are our subservient, period. You only exist because of us. You do what we say or you don't exist anymore. That's how it's set up. And so if they are looking at that and realizing they could be in a very bad position if they lose our full support, I would absolutely expect, and I do expect based on the intel I've seen so far, nothing concrete, but there is a high probability they will try to do a false flag attack.
You know, I have done dua. Dua is Arabic for prayer with people that are, you would consider terrorists. I was in a bombed out shelter. I happened to go there with a bunch of other pastors and people, and a friend of mine brought me there in a bombed out part of Beirut with Muhammad Hussein Fadlallah, who was head of the Hezbollah. He died in 2011, I believe, 2012. Check me on that. And you would see people that are of the Christian faith. And these are the paradigm crashes that you have. And you might not like what I have to say, but I'm sorry. Like, the truth is a really hard pill to swallow. But I sat in there and I listened to him speak, and I had to stand up and say to him, of all the men that I've come into contact with, you can see righteousness in this man. Now, let me just tell you, Muhammad Hussein Fadlallah, head of the Hezbollah, was on the terrorist watch list. The U.S. had declared him a terrorist.
The Joe Altman backstory is pretty crazy.
I mean,
it's a fascinating. You've lived a fascinating life, Joe. You've talked to some.
I have great pictures too. I mean, I have the pictures. I mean, I have me with, the guy that they just threw in house arrest. I've sat with kings, presidents, prime ministers. I've prayed with people that you shouldn't pray with. And I only came back. My daughter is the only reason that I'm not still working on conflict resolution in the Middle East and Africa. She didn't do well. I've told this story 100 times. She needed her dad. She went to high school, needed her dad. So I took a sabbatical. I remember sitting in Doha, Qatar, at the airport, saying, I got to take a sabbatical. I got to go be a dad, because my daughter thought I was going to die every time I left. So I'm not talking from inexperience. I'm not talking from a guy that says, oh, I've been there with my, I had my battle rattle on, and I went in there and just killed a bunch of jihadis. No, I went in there with not one gun. And when I did have a gun, it's because I needed it. I went in there and I didn't have anything on. And I went in there to try and solve problems. And I solved a lot of problems. I saved a lot of lives. The work that I did helped people not want to kill other people, including Americans.
And you did almost die multiple times, by the way.
Yeah, I did. There's a couple times that I almost died. And look, you got to be okay with it. I'm okay with it now. I carry a gun. Why? Because I want to kill the bad guy. The bad guy comes for me, I want to kill him. Make no mistake about it. I know what a hammer, I know what a nail looks like. I know exactly what it is. Everything to me does not look like a nail anymore. The bad guy, I'm going to find him. But if you think that we have good leadership, President Trump is a man that is endowed by our Creator. He is endowed by God to be here in the place that he is right now. I truly believe that. I believe the walk of faith for Elon Musk has been one that has been tumultuous. I mean, that guy literally has more, grandeurs of his flesh than anybody. I mean, he wants to have babies with every woman in the world, I think, right?
Yeah, he's working on it.
And I got to accept him where he is, Matt. I got to accept him where he is. But as we look at this kind of parody that we're creating, you can't sit here and tell me that I got to let kids get groomed and I got to let people do bad things and judges do what they did in the Mike Lindell trial in creating a kabuki theater where they basically made everyone look like the bad guy except for the piece of shit Coomer and his Dominion voting systems. When the truth is that all of them were telling the truth and they're the ones lying. Like there's 1,000 people out there, but we're all bad except for him. And so I'm not going to look at Israel any different than I would look at any other country or any other group of people. I am not on one side or the other. I am for humanity. If you're for humanity, you're my friend. If you want to solve a problem by laying down the sword, I'm all about it. You want to raise up the sword, then we have to raise up the sword to defend the one thing in the Bible that is unequivocally stated in every part of the Bible. And that is seek peace, not just through words and not just through, but also through the sword. And right now we're not seeking peace. We're seeking the destruction of people. We're genociding entire groups of people. And we're letting them lie to do it. And so, don't use the Bible in one way and tell me that I have to support diabolical people, because I can't. I can't do it. I've seen too much. And if you haven't seen what I've seen, then you can't understand. Muslims are not they're not my enemy. Jeff, I got to tell you something. Jeff likes to just get after me. He likes to get after me. And I was like, Muslims are not my problem. And he went and listened to a friend who's a pastor. And he came back to me. He's like, I just can't stop consuming this information about what it means to be a man driven towards the Spirit of God. And look, I'm a warrior, but I do not want war, but I'll play in it. But I also know what the consequences are of war. And right now, people are out there jibber jabbing. It sounds like Slava Ukraine, same thing. And what, took 2 years for us to figure out Slava Ukraine was bullshit? And now here we are, talking about Slava Israel, when they go over there and blow up a building. And it's going to go back and forth. And we unequivocally will not have the ability to run away from it. And neither will the other countries around the world too. And that is why it is going to drive us into a world war that is going to do exactly what the World Economic Forum wanted to do, what Bill Gates wanted to do, wanted to kill us. And we're sitting back watching it as if there's nothing we can do. Let me just be the Daniel Pearl on the beach. Take that one more breath while watch them do diabolical things. I won't do it. I will not do it. I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't.
I don't either. And the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is the level of intelligence and cunningness of Mossad. They are some clever people, and they use that, unfortunately, oftentimes for evil, as does Iran too. And we're not going to pretend like one side's good or bad. I really honestly think the Middle East is full of some of the worst governments on earth. There's no doubt about that. It's just common sense. But I certainly think Israel is someone who should be feared because of how insanely cunning they are. Now, take a look at this. This is a clip, A9, of the drone base that Israel set up inside Iran. How crazy is that? So they're able to set up a full base undetected in a foreign enemy country as an intelligence agency that they were then able to use to carry out the attack, as well as also stopping Iran from striking back with as full of a capability. All of this from a relatively small country using a lot of U.S. intelligence primarily. Really, that's what's happening. Go ahead and play A9. So this is footage over the constructed drone base. That's actually insane. That is insane that they were able to do this. I still don't even fully understand how it happened. But basically, you can see, similar to what Ukraine did, where they drove trucks in past Russia, they were able to sneak past the defenses, which are mainly on the perimeter, And so Iran really had no idea what was coming to the same extent that they normally would if they're able to detect these missiles ahead of time. Now, we also have A7, which I'm going to play right now, which is an Iranian official who is now saying that there's going to be civilians who are likely going to die in a full-scale war as a result of what Israel did with their attack. Go ahead and play A7.
One of the targets was just a couple of kilometers away from my residence. It was a residential area where academicians usually live there, and it was actually a building for them. So they attacked some scientific people there. And there have been other attacks in different buildings in different parts of the city, most of them civilian areas and residential buildings and areas. And they have killed many women and children and civilians. It's not just about the military commanders or nuclear scientists. And then it has opened the way for Iranians to retaliate in any manner. And anywhere would be a legitimate target now for Iran to get into a full-fledged war against Israelis and Americans if they support them. And it might lead actually into a full-fledged war in the region, which would affect the whole world.
He's not wrong. It is going to affect the entire world. It is going to be a full-scale war. Iran can't just sit back and let them murder their officials who they're friends with, who have families, in their apartment buildings and do nothing. If they do nothing. What would you do? If I was Iran, what would I do?
No, what would you do if somebody killed your family?
Spend every single bit of energy that I have left, every resource that I have access to destroy them in the most painful way possible.
You would find them.
I would. I would find them, and I would never, under any circumstances, relent my pursuit of destroying them.
It is a circular firing squad.
Yeah.
And we're watching it in real life. And war doesn't look, if you look back at the outcomes of war. We could talk about World War II. 51 million Russians died. Right? 51 million? Did I say that right?
That's about right. It was an estimate. We don't really know. Could have been more, could have been less.
Let's say it's 30 million. Let's say it's 10 million. Let's say that we're off by 80%. You have 10 million people that we're never going to have kids, grandkids. I mean, it's population control almost. Now we got 8 billion people in the world. We don't even know if that's true. They could be lying to us about that. And what do you think is going to happen? Like, you come out of after my family. I'm a Christian. I love the Lord with everything that I have. You don't think that I'd be run towards? I mean, I look at the people that are able to say, "Oh, this evil person killed my mother, my brother, my sister, my wife, and they have this ability to say, "Oh, I forgive you." Well, I'll forgive you after you're unalive. It's pretty simple. I don't know if I have it in me. And I know that if that's from my perspective, like I pray for it every day, that I'm going to be a better person and be able to just let God handle it. Well, God gave me a lot of talent, so I can handle it myself with him.
And God also gave you a 9mm. that certainly doesn't hurt either.
Yeah. I mean, look, I just don't want to, Israel spelled wrong on X. I don't know if we fix that. Can we fix that? I just looked down at it. Huh? Yeah. Anyway, I just saw it. It's fine. This is where I get into, you're standing for Iran. You're anti-American. How does it make me anti-American? Are you anti-American because you won't stand up and let them murder people?
America's the worst. I hate America so much. No, I love America. We all love America. In fact, I would be willing, if I had to choose between the United States or everywhere else on earth, I would pick the United States. Yeah. I wouldn't even hesitate. I don't care about these other conflicts except for to the extent that we have to pay for them. We have to worry about the global ramifications of World War III. We have to worry about the radiation fallout. We have to worry about if Israel is going to do a false flag attack. It comes to us. They force us into it just like they always have. And we have to deal with it. That's the only reason why we have to cover this. That's why it's important. If it didn't involve us, I wouldn't care at all. Maybe a little bit. I mean, I care about children dying. That to that extent, I do care. But in terms of if they want to just blow up each other's military bases, whatever. I mean, do that if you want. You're dumb for doing that, but okay, go for it. Have a conflict for no reason.
Let me talk about grooming real quick. Grooming doesn't mean just for sexual grooming. Grooming can mean anything. And I'm going to use this as an example because I've now gotten 4 text messages and a couple messages where people are like, Joe, I can't watch you right now talk about that stuff. I can't hear it. And you wonder why you can't hear it? It's the same time when I put up a post and I got 20 or 25 people that said, Joe, that's an amazing post you wrote up last night. And I go in to see who actually liked it. They didn't like it. So I just called one of them and I'm like, hey, Ryan, why'd you say you liked it, but you didn't actually hit the like button? He goes, I was afraid somebody would see that I liked it. You're afraid of the truth. Let's be honest. You're afraid. You're afraid to say this truth because if you say this truth, they're coming for you. They're going to silence you. They're going to bully you. They're going to intimidate you. They're going to come for your throat. You can't stand up and say, yes, you know what? That is truth. And you know what? Truth is hard to swallow. It really is. Who wants to find out they have a little pee-pee?
Is that a confession?
No, it's not a confession. But I mean, there's lots of things you don't want to admit to. Like, you don't see people that are short walking around saying, what's up, shorty? Right? They get pissed. They got Napoleon complex. They don't want to be told the truth that they're short. Bro, you're 5 feet tall. Right? You sit down. Oh, that's right. You're already sitting down. Stand up. Oh, you're already standing. Okay. Oh, here we go. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear the truth.
You know, I think you may be onto something, though. In the United States, we're obviously gifted in a certain area where perhaps some of those little people overseas aren't as gifted in. Maybe it all comes down to that. Maybe if you wake up every day and you look down and you're like, all right, looks good, then you don't want to go to war. If you look down and you're like, oh my gosh, it's too small. Bumped him. That's what's going. That's all it is. That explains the entire. War atmosphere.
Let me say this: St. Louis Archer. He says he was just joking about hating America. He was being contrite about kind of what we're dealing with right now. But look. By this time, we would have had 70 or 80 people that had a thumbs up on Rumble. People are afraid to hit it. Someone will know. Someone will know that I actually don't. That they're going to say I'm anti-Semitic. You know, that there is a saying that the truth will set you free. It will. It is so revealing when you get to that place where you can just speak up and speak truth and do so lovingly. Not get out there and just call people names and do that stuff. Right? A little pee-pee. I had to. I mean, come on.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
We also have a clip showing the extent that Israel went to plan this. It is impressive.
Years.
It is impressive. Go ahead and play A8.
Iran's president responding, saying that its level of force and its actions will make Israel regret the actions that it took earlier today. Similar to the pager operation that Israel carried out last year in Lebanon, this one also took years of planning. Mossad released this footage earlier this morning of the Operation Rising Lion between the IDF and Mossad, which began at 3 a.m. local time, although preparation began long before. The mission included Mossad smuggling vehicles and drones into Iran, setting up a drone base in Iran, and activating the drones this morning to hit Iran's surface-to-air missiles. At the same time, the IDF deployed 200 aircraft. These were mainly fighter jets to hit roughly 100 targets in Iran. All of this aimed at hitting the heart of Iran's nuclear program. Today, the Israeli military says it also destroyed dozens of radar installations. Multiple explosions were heard at Iran's Natanz nuclear power facility. This is Iran's main enrichment facility. Now, back and forth today between how much has actually been hit and the level of damage there. Iran claims that it's still standing, but Israel says it has been severely damaged.
We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. We struck at the heart of Iran's nuclear weaponization program. We targeted Iran's main enrichment facility in Natanz. We targeted Iran's leading nuclear scientists working on the Iranian bomb. We also struck at the heart of Iran's ballistic missile program.
Washington says it was not involved, and the top priority is protecting American forces here in the region. Iran's foreign ministry firing back today, claiming that this could not have been carried out without the coordination and without the approval of the U.S. The IDF says most of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps high command was killed while gathering in an underground headquarters, including several of the highest-ranking military commanders. We do expect the number of military officials killed to grow in the coming hours as we get more information about how all of this was carried out this morning. We also know that Iran says as many as 6 nuclear scientists were killed in these attacks. In response, Iran launched as many as 100 drones towards Israel. All of those were able to be struck down not only by the IAF, the Air Force, with these fighter jets trying to take down those drones, but also some of the drones that were fired into Jordan's airspace were shot down by their government as well. Guys, back to you.
Alex.
They didn't get all the drones. But beyond that, yeah, what do you think of that? What do you think of? They couldn't have done it without the U.S. Let me just tell you what the courtesy of war is, though. You know what the courtesy of war is?
What is it?
Like before Pearl Harbor, there was a phone call that happened where we were actually told that they were going to come and actually bomb Pearl Harbor. Did you know that?
It's crazy how much war has changed. It used to be a respectful gentleman's sport.
Oh no, they were huddling underground. You know why they were huddling underground? They were huddling underground because somebody told them. I mean, there's intelligence and counterintelligence and people that can't wait to be like what's the guy's name? What Tom Cruise does? MI6 guy. What is it? They love that. I mean, you have people in the United States just you could buy them for $500. They'll betray the America, right? They're everywhere just to have a seat at the table, right? And so they knew they were huddling underground because they knew. And so you know that intelligence does not go both ways, which means they know that somebody in the United States knew, and somebody in the United States gave the nod. And I don't know if it was President Trump or not. And I'm not even telling you if it's been planned for years. Then this is way past President Trump. We have to think back to if this has been planned for years, then who's in charge? Who the hell's in charge? It took years of planning to do what they're doing, right? That's what they said. Israel said it took years of planning.
Years of planning.
President Trump's been in for less than 6 months. People don't pay attention to people's vernacular, what they say. So President Trump wasn't even a part of this. They were going to do this no matter what. So Israel gets to do whatever they want. And then you have the puppets and the parrots and the rhinos and the Republicans and the Democrats. You have everyone. They're out there saying, Slava Israel. Well, you go in there and you pound the hell out of Iran. What did you think Iran was going to do? Sit back and go, oh, thank you, Daddy. Can I have another? It's silly. This whole thing is silly. It's silly.
Those generals definitely looked like assholes. I will to Israel's credit, they did pick some mean looking dudes to take out. I will say that. That's credit to them. But at the end of the day, for them to be planning it for years, for them to obviously inevitably be going to do this, we knew this would happen. There was no chance after what happened with the war in Gaza, which is being funded in part by Iran. There was no chance after Iran was seriously trying to increase their military capabilities that Israel wasn't going to do this. Israel got there first because of the United States. And so therefore they're in a position where they can dictate terms. If Iran had gotten there first, as a way bigger country, Israel would probably no longer exist, and the people there would be living somewhere else. So that's kind of the fascinating part about this, is the extent to which the countries that already have built up infrastructure with nukes and military can dictate everything that happens with the countries that don't. It's the big versus the less big, but it's the opposite in terms of the military strength. It's kind of fascinating to watch that. As we also have more videos, by the way, of what's happening in Iran right now, including the Iranian people who are screaming death to Israel. I see it a lot on X. People say they were chanting death to America. They were told to say that. Most people in Iran don't actually care that much about America. A lot of them don't like America because America supports Israel. But besides that, that's the only beef. If America stopped supporting Israel tomorrow, the people of Iran would not hate America anymore. I firmly believe that, at least in most majority of the people would not feel that way. So go ahead and play this footage of the Iranian people screaming death to America in the streets, or to Israel.
Death to Iran.
They were saying death to Israel.
Or death to Israel.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. I was just talking.
I wouldn't put it past Israel to fire a drone at those protesters too, by the way. Take some bravery to do that and say, oops, we accidentally had a missed drone and killed all of the people protesting in the streets saying death to Israel. Which, by the way, if you struck my country with a bomb, I would also say death to you as well. So it's not exactly a crazy thing that we're seeing this. Obviously, the people of Iran are pissed and they want to see justice. They want to see Israel wiped off the face of the planet. That's what they want right now. And they do have a very severely incapacitated military at the moment, but it's going to be built back up within the next week. Within the next few months, they will have their capabilities stronger than they were before, and we could see the same thing that Iran does to Israel, where they take out some of their top leaders using drones. This is going to get extremely ugly, and if that happens, if we see Iran targeting specific Israeli officials, Israel is going to use their nukes. They're going to fire a nuclear bomb into a major Iranian city, not sure which one, or at the very least into a military facility within Iran that is also going to be bordered by people who are living normal lives, and they will be killed in this as well. That's what's coming next. I don't really see any path that doesn't involve nuclear weapons being used at this point. Either Israel somehow gets total victory, which means they will have total control over the Middle East, which is a terrifying way to look at it, because then they can take over any territory they want and kill children indiscriminately without any problems. Now, if Iran won, it would also be bad. So there really is no good outcome here, because these people overseas have tiny peepees. They want to be just starting wars, bombing, trying to increase their territory. It's the dumbest
100%.
Waste of resources I've ever seen. I hate everything about this. And I hope that somehow we just end up not having to worry about it at all. But it seems very unlikely at this point.
Well, I'm gonna show you some pictures here really quick, if we can. So I want to show you what the last two pictures are pictures like that are happening, that are basically what happened after 1979. Do you know what happened in 1979 in Iran?
The Islamic regime took over.
Who made that happen?
The United States government, CIA,
and Mossad.
1979.
The takeover that happened in Iran was 100% caused by the United States.
And Mossad and the CIA, by the way, are the same group. It's the same thing. It's one group.
Yeah, they have a joint operation agreement for sure. And I think there's more joint operation agreements that probably happen with MI6 or whatever the intelligence community is now out of the UK. But let's just go through some of these. Here's a tale of two Irans. And then I'm going to show you a picture of it like today. You want to go put those up?
That's fascinating.
I'm sorry? You put up them all. I'll just go look at them all. This is what 1979 looked like before all the falls. This is like 1975, 74. It was a very progressive place. It was very progressive. And progressive meaning that they still wore nice clothes, right? But they had bathing suits and everything else. Let's show the next one. They would bathe and sit by the water. I didn't pull up anything that had like bathing suits. Doesn't look much different than what you'd see women wear in the United States, right?
At that time, especially.
Yeah. Probably a little bit more progressive then than it was now. Show the next one. So these are women sitting with men, no problem, right? They just kind of hang out together. They're sitting there eating, shooting. This is at a university. All right, now let's take a look at what it looked like as it went into 1979. This is a woman that wasn't covering herself up. They made her cover herself up. Right?
Based.
So this is men. Here they are basically shooting guns, and men are taking charge. They're going to put women in their place. And ultimately, that led to what is now, if you go to Tehran, this is what you would see. Go to the next one. That's an oppressive state. I mean, that's women that are completely covered from head to toe. They can wear clothes, shows themselves in their home only to their husbands and to anyone that is invited into the family or the home.
So you're saying our plan to implement Sharia law needs to be stopped? Because I was just thinking that'd be a fun thing to do on a Sunday. We can implement Sharia law in the United States. That sounds wonderful. Why don't we just make everyone be miserable and wear hot, sticky, probably smelly outfits? That's a great idea. I love Iran's change. Very based.
Well, my issue with it is that I just showed you two, and you can't help but look at it and go, "Wow,
it's very different."
Is that progress to you?
And by the way, once your society does that, the innovation, for the most part, grinds to a halt. The ability to have functioning, successful societies is impossible when you are being led not through a democracy in any capacity, but through a system like that. And even though our democracy sucks and it's basically been ruined, it's still one of the best systems that's ever been created. That shows you how hard it is to create a good government. In Iran, we're also seeing those people that we're looking at in these pictures. Those are the people who are losing their lives. It's important to remember it's not just a number on a stat sheet. These are real human beings, feelings, emotions, everything that we have, who are capable of living in a society like us if the government isn't oppressive, that are being killed. And it's brutal. It is brutal to watch that and see people who you can relate to, who dress similar, act similar, in 1979 now being forced into this oppressive place where they're also being bombed systematically and being taken out. And they're going to be forced to fight in this war too. They're going to be affected worse than anyone. Iran is going to be hurt the most by this because they're going up against the West as a whole for the most part. UK also getting involved, Canada getting involved. We're seeing Germany. It's crazy the level of support that Israel's been able to get through AIPAC and their lobbying groups.
I want you to see what the IDF spokesperson. What is that?
That's crazy. Are we getting attacked, Joe?
We're right next to an airport that has a lot of military planes. Apollo, do you hear that?
It's very loud.
Huh? Yeah, it did. So Ephraim Defrin is the spokesperson for IDF. He had this to say about the attack. Let's go ahead and play it.
For years, the Iranian regime has called for the destruction of the State of Israel, planning and advancing concrete military plans to do so. Over the past few months, intelligence has shown that Iran is closer than ever to obtaining a nuclear weapon. This morning, the IDF began preemptive and precise strikes targeting the Iranian nuclear program in order to prevent the Iranian regime's ability to build a nuclear bomb in the immediate time frame. We have no choice. We are operating against an imminent and existential threat. We cannot allow the Iranian regime to obtain a nuclear weapon that would be a danger to Israel and the entire world. This operation is for our right to exist here, for our future and for our children's future. The State of Israel has the right and the obligation to operate in order to protect its people and will continue to do so. The IDF conducted significant preparations for this operation. We are well prepared both in defense and offense to defend ourselves. The IDF will continue to defend the State of Israel.
It is the State of Israel, and they should have the ability to have peace. But I'm not sure that if they've been planning it for a couple of years, there was de-escalation that's happening. See, the timeline doesn't add up. If the glove don't fit, you got to quit. And if you look at this from the perspective of Israel, you've been planning this for a couple of years. President Trump gave him a mandate, said, hey, look, you need to come to the table. There's just as much fear on Iran's side that Israel will do harm to them. They believe that Israel represents an existential threat to their existence in Iran. So it's two-sided. So it's like having God fight God. Here's let me just show you. This is there's some strikes happening in Tel Aviv. And for those that say that there wasn't any damage, that's not true. Let's go ahead and show you the Iranian missile hits in Israel.
Oh my God.
So this is the first one. And then here's another one at a different angle. And this is kind of an angle just showing some of the damage. Let's go ahead and show that.
And all this is coming in live, by the way. So this is all happening within the last few hours and minutes.
All right. Well, let's we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what's the U.S.'s response, which I thought was fairly weak. And so we spent a lot of time, by the way, trying to find ways that we could support everyone. So and give you a gift for being one of our listeners. And so we built a relationship with AMAC and the Association of Mature American Citizens. I think 35 is the cutoff. If you're over 35, you qualify.
Oh my God.
And you offer a complimentary 1-year membership just for being a part of the Untamed family. You've never heard of AMAC. They're the leading conservative alternative to AARP. And we're getting younger but older. So younger, you pick up some benefits being younger. I don't know what the age limit is. Put your stuff in and it'll tell you whether you qualify. They fight for faith, family, and freedom in Washington. They stand up for traditional values. And as a member, you get to access money-saving benefits. You also get a subscription to AMAC magazine, and you get a chance to have your voice heard through their advocacy arm, AMAC Action. Pretty amazing people. I've met them all and spent a lot of time with them. Really good people. Obviously, I qualify for mature Americans. This 1-year membership is absolutely free. It's courtesy of us. No strings, no payment info, just good people standing together. And I don't know what it normally is. It's, what, $50 a year or something? I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a good deal. If you don't take advantage of the free membership, then what the heck are you doing? It's that simple. Everyone should be taking advantage of this while you still can. I imagine they're going to take away the ability for people to do it free when everyone starts signing up en masse. And they're going to be like, all right, we got to stop it now. That will happen. And I'm not just saying that to sell it. It will literally happen. So you do need to do it now. If you don't, you probably won't get it for free. It's worth it.
And it's amac.us/untamed. That's amac.us/untamed. And just go over there, get your free membership. It's waiting for you. And go check it out. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the U.S. What's the response? What is the response? And are they playing CYA? In other words, cover your ass. Are they? And why wouldn't they just come out and just tell it how it is? What are they so afraid of? Why is the truth so difficult to speak? I think President Trump did a great job. I don't think the people underneath him are doing him any favors. So, especially not Lindsey Graham.
I hate Instagram, childless bastard.
We'll be right back. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. We were just talking about someone we didn't want to give attention to. Some douchebag that, oh man, this whole, people are just not real people, Matt. They're just not real people. Bad people. They seek something they can't have, right?
The majority of people are fake, gay, and retarded.
I agree. President Trump had something to say. I think what he said is reassuring, because President Trump always seems to be a couple steps ahead. That's that being endowed by the Creator, right? That he says, we remain committed to a diplomatic resolution to the Iran nuclear issue. My entire administration has been directed to negotiate with Iran. They could be a great country, but they first must completely give up hopes of obtaining a nuclear weapon. Thank you for your attention in this matter. And the second tweet he puts up, which is, we'll kind of go through this a little bit longer. And it says, I gave Iran a chance to make a deal. I told them in the strongest of words, just do it. And no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. I told them it would be much worse than anything they know, anticipated, and were told that the United States makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world, by far, and that Israel has a lot of it, and much more to come. They know how to use it. Certainly, Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know it was about to happen. They are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There already been great death and destruction, but there's still time to make the slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal. Come to an end, Iran must make a deal before there's nothing left, and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction. Just do it before it's too late. God bless you all. I don't particularly like that post. And I do know that people were held hostage by the fact that there's so many in so many different positions. CIA is filled with faithless atheists. President Trump had something else to say, Matt. He said 2 months ago, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum to make a deal. They should have done it. Today is day 61. I told them what to do, but they just couldn't get there. Now they have perhaps a second chance. I don't know, man.
Why is the president of the United States negotiating on behalf of a random country in the Middle East?
Well, it's not random. It's a proxy. It's a proxy nation for the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
because they own the United States. I mean, we could say that the United States is a proxy for HQ, right? HQ being Israel. What I find interesting is that Israel is telling them that the U.S. had their full control and backing, and then Rubio had this to say. Marco Rubio said, tonight Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advises they believe the action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel. Okay. I mean, this is utterly absurd. I mean, this is absurd. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. At least President Trump is saying, "Look, I gave you an opportunity to get a deal," but now Rubio is saying, "Just don't touch us, hands off." You have coordinated efforts to go into every major city in the United States tomorrow. On top of that, you now have coordinated attacks that they're going to systematically over the next couple of days. Israel's going to go into Iran. Iran is going to go into Israel. And they're going to start hitting soft targets in the United States. It's almost a plan that you can't help but see it.
And most of those attacks, by the way, could be carried out even by our own forces. It's impossible to truly understand the level of subversion the United States government currently has to the Israeli government. Not only is it blackmail tapes, not only is it you get paid $10,000 every time you make a post, not only is it if you don't make the post and you don't do what they say, then they're going to release bad stuff on you and run millions of dollars in advertisements against you, like Thomas Massey, who is one of the best people in our US government right now. And they run every single year a ton of ads against him, does AIPAC. But not the other Republicans who support them, only Thomas Massey because he doesn't. So it's not only the carrot and the stick, it's also the stick on the back end too. They have set up a system of total subversion to where you have to be a cuck for them or else you're not allowed to have any power whatsoever. And where does that lead? What is the extent of it? It is that we have to now join any war that they want to start and send our own sons and daughters, or myself, to die.
Yeah. Here's the I'm gonna kind of walk you through this. Here's a video of them hoping to get, when Trump says he wants to get Iran back to the negotiating table. I'm gonna tell you why that's gonna be difficult. And this is why I say that would you stand with Jeffrey Epstein? Would you guys stand with Jeffrey Epstein? Would you stand with him? Would you stand with Wiener? Mr. Wiener, little itty bitty Wiener? Would you stand with him? That little midget? Would you stand with him? The pedophile. Anybody have an interest in standing with him?
Absolutely not.
He's Jewish, bro. Why wouldn't you stand with him? I mean, let's just play this. This is Fox News talking about the fact that let's get back to the negotiating table. And then this happened. Go ahead and play it.
It's always kind of going back to Trump. On that note, let's bring back in the chief political anchor, Brett Baer. He joins us by phone. He just happened to speak with the president of the United States, Donald Trump. Brett, what did he tell you?
Hey, Trace. Yeah, I just spoke to President Trump. One thing, the president was aware of Israel's action before it happened. There were no surprises here. But he gave me a quote. He said, Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. We're hoping to get back to the negotiating table. We'll see. There are several people in leadership in Iran that will not be coming back. Now, the president, I know, has spoken to Prime Minister Netanyahu several times in recent days. As I mentioned before, the Trump administration reached out to a key Middle Eastern ally beforehand to acknowledge this strike was going to happen, but that the U.S. was not involved in the strike, but the goal still to get Iran back to the negotiating table. There was this building frustration about what Iran was doing at that negotiating table with Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy. He was scheduled again for Sunday. Looks like, obviously, that may change the dynamic there. Whether that moves forward at all depends on what Iran does in response. The president told me he's, looking to see what the retaliation may be. CENTCOM is on high alert. The U.S. will defend will help defend Israel if needed. And as I mentioned in the last time we talked, the Iron Dome has been replenished in Israel in recent weeks. So there's still this hope in the president's sense and the people around him that this changes the dynamic for Iran and that this does not launch into what will be a back and forth. But we just saw the post from the Supreme Leader saying that this is the beginning of a major retaliation and that Israel, in his words, has sealed its fate. U.S. officials are confirming to us that a number of top Iranian officials, leaders, are dead after these strikes. But as far as the full sense of what the targeting looked like, Natanz, the nuclear facility, was struck, but we don't believe it was by the biggest of the penetrating bombs, but we will have to see come first light. And the U.S. military, and we've been saying this, was not directly involved in these strikes, but there clearly was an advanced knowledge and communication and knowledge of what was happening, and now we'll see exactly what the retaliation looks like.
What he said is about the leaders all being dead. Well, then President Trump was talking to CNN, and they'd love to start negotiations again, but all the negotiators he was dealing with are now all dead. Just go and play it.
But didn't say explicitly that the U.S. supported what Israel was doing. So that's how I started a very brief conversation. And he responded by saying, quote, "We, of course, support Israel, obviously, and supported it like nobody has ever supported it." And then he went on to say this: Iran should have listened to me when I said, I gave them, I don't know if you know this, but I gave them a 60-day warning, and today is day 61. And then he said they, meaning Iran, should now come to the table to make a deal before it's too late. And then he said something really noteworthy. He said, the people I was dealing with are dead, the hardliners, to which I just wanted to underscore. So what you're saying is Israel has now killed the people who you were dealing with, and he said very sarcastically, they didn't die of the flu, they didn't die of COVID. It was a brief conversation, but my takeaway was twofold. Number one, they are really hoping that instead of escalating the situation, which is what most people, our terrific reporters and analysts you've been talking to all morning, believe is possible, even probable. He's hoping that instead of that, this forces Iran to come to the table. We'll see if that's going to happen. He also, he made clear he understands that it could escalate, but he is hoping now that Israel has done what it's done, that it takes another turn and de-escalates.
I wonder what Iran is thinking right now. Obviously, those leadership positions will be filled.
Yeah.
They will continue their nuclear ambitions. But it is true that now anyone in Iran who's smart is going to be scared to become a nuclear scientist. Anyone in Iran who's smart is going to be scared to become a military leader.
You mean like talking about stolen elections? People are afraid of it because they put Stina Peters in jail and they have attacked relentlessly with their big lie, that disinformation, misinformation, that type of fear? Or the fact that Americans won't stand up because they can't stand up because they make an example out of people, like that type of fear? I mean, the same type of bully tactics and evil, and yeah, you want to support it, yeah, because you Slava Israel, right? And then this little piece of shit, Pompeo, he had to talk too. Pompeo, by the way, I hate that guy. Head of the CIA. I was supposed to, he was Secretary of State. I was supposed to meet with him on the 6th of January, 2021. He ran out the back door, had me meet with his counsel. He knew the elections were stolen. He left. He like weaseled his way out. Let's go ahead and play it. Here's a little weasel talking.
Careful who you were around in terms of large events, Jewish events. I mean, this sounds like we've gone backwards decades in terms of the threat on Jewish lives. But that's exactly what this is also about.
Harris, I actually think it's just the converse of that. I do agree this could be a very high tension, stressful, and indeed there may be an event somewhere in the world. It's not just the missiles or drones they'll fly to Israel, but the Iranian IRGC, the very leadership the Israelis destroyed last night, has been working in nearly every country around the world, including the United States of America, to plant little terror cells all across the world. Hezbollah was doing the same. So this will be a very difficult period. But in the end, this was not a reckless attack, but indeed what they did was decent and just and righteous, and will reduce risk to the Jewish diaspora around the world. And for Israel and for the United States of America, a really good set of outcomes are in the offing, so long as Israel is prepared to finish the task, and as long as the world unites to provide continued deterrence and defense to prevent Iran from conducting all kinds of attacks. I think of cyber threats that will probably be projected around the world too. Iranians have a great cyber program. So lots of vectors for them to respond. We all need to be alert and responsive and do everything we can to deter them from coming after any American anywhere in any field.
I don't know what to say. I think I agree with you, Dave. It looks like he's on Ozempic. He lost like 200 pounds. All right. You just talked about this before. The U.S. is saying they're not involved in the strikes, Matt.
That's the dumbest thing you can possibly think. Oh yeah, the U.S. has no involvement. First of all, we fund them. Second of all, we're controlled by them. Third of all, at the end of the day, the United States is going to always act in accordance with them. So if they are getting bombed, we're going to stop it. If they need to bomb someone, we're going to help them plan it. It's all... You want to go ahead and play it? Oh, so AIPAC now thanking President Trump. But what a surprise. Who would have ever guessed? Who would have thought?
I was going to get you going. I was trying to get you going.
2 months ago, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum. And AIPAC says, thank you for that. We appreciate it. AIPAC, by the way, not registered as a foreign lobbying group. Isn't that interesting? So they're saying thank you on behalf of the Israeli government, and yet they're allowed to operate with near impunity as a non-foreign agency, when almost their entire group is dedicated to nothing other than promoting what Israel and the Israeli government want. That's the craziest thing. And by the way, there's a lot of restrictions that come with being registered as a foreign agent. They don't have to follow any of them. They don't have to worry if they want to pay someone to make a post. They don't have to worry if they want to tell Trump, we're going to release blackmail tapes on you, which hopefully they don't have. I would have a hard time imagining Trump would be willing to put himself in that position. But at times it does seem like he is acting with some amount of fear because he knows what's right. Why isn't Trump standing up right now and saying, I'm not going to help to promote World War III. I'm not going to get us involved and put us in a vulnerable position, because if we backed off and said, okay, Israel, you can handle it on your own from now on, then Iran would have a 0% chance of attacking us. And at some point, it's going to be us getting hurt. It will be bombs in our cities. And right now it's going to be a psyop. Right now it's going to be a false flag, but it does eventually become real. At a certain point, it becomes real. And that's what we're heading towards because of what our politicians are doing by being weak, feckless, bought out, blackmailed, and unwilling to stand up for what's right.
I couldn't have said it better. And, but President Trump is saying that he didn't have anything to do with it. Rubio is saying the same thing. And a senior Israeli official has reportedly told the Jerusalem Post that the United States and Israel coordinated a joint deception to throw Iran off ahead of its military, Israeli military strikes.
Rubio tweets while cuddling his Israeli plush doll. He has a plush doll made of Israeli flags, and every time you see him make a tweet, he's
it's not the
it.
people of Israel. That's not the problem. The problem is it's not the people of Israel. I mean, they're held hostage. And it's crazy for me. It's crazy that we haven't even to talk about this. And, you know, I don't want to stand on the side of these radicals that are on the street either, who say, you know, we have to support Gaza or Hamas, right? But you want to have humanity. So you got to be consistent in your character. Anyway, here's a Professor Morandi. I think I was on with him on RT, you know, a year or so ago. So he has something to say about what happened in Iran. Let's hear him talk.
Well, to discuss the nighttime attack, let's welcome onto the program now Iranian-American academic and political analyst, Professor Syed Mohammed Morandi in Tehran. Thank you for coming on the program. Professor, the stated aim of this assault was to cripple Iran's nuclear facilities. Has Israel's goal been achieved?
No, and also they have been targeting civilians across the country, but in particular in Tehran. And women and children have been murdered. But if you listen to Western media, you would not even know that such a thing has happened. They've been bombing apartment blocks, apartment buildings, and whole families have been slaughtered in the dead of night. And it was unprovoked. It's an act of aggression. But again, when you listen to Western media, they portray it as if it's normal. But of course, anything that the Israeli regime does for them is normal. Genocide is normal. The Holocaust in Gaza is normal. The genocidal strikes on Lebanon are normal. The daily murders that we see in the West Bank and in Lebanon at the hands of the Israeli regime, all of them are normal to the West, and they don't even report them. So it's not surprising for us that they ignore the fact that children have been slaughtered in Tehran and that women have been murdered. But the Iranians will retaliate, and the retaliation will be very severe.
What reaction do you expect? We are hearing reports already of masses of drones on their way to strike Israel. Could that ramp up even further?
Yes, I think that the Iranians are determined to make sure that the Israeli regime regrets carrying out these attacks. And sadly, though, we see that the United States is using air bases and its other bases in the Persian Gulf region, in Qatar, in the Emirates, in Bahrain, in Turkey. It's using its bases in Iraq, and it's using Jordanian airspace to assist the Israelis, both in its offensive acts, as well as they're using all of these to protect the Israeli regime. It's quite ironic that the countries of the region are assisting the Israelis in this manner. But there's no doubt that the Iranian reaction will be devastating to the regime. Netanyahu, he is pursuing his own interests, and I think he's not even pursuing the interests of the regime. His interests are separate from those of ordinary Zionists, and he needs war, he needs escalation, as we saw elsewhere, and he needs it in Iran as well in order to remain in power. But I think that this time he will face consequences unlike what he's faced before.
What is your analysis of the Americans, the Trump administration's essential ignorance when it comes to this attack?
Oh. So I want to point out that Mohammed Marandi, he's a professor. He was born in Richmond, Virginia. He's an American. And he was a part of the nuclear disarmament negotiation team in Iran that was centered in Vienna. So, you know, you can't, and this is the problem where you have bad people and good people. Were you in a fight in high school?
Multiple. In football, we would do fights in the locker room every day. And eventually it got to the point where our coaches bought us boxing gloves so that instead of fighting with bare knuckles like we were doing, we'd be fighting with boxing gloves. And I got in a few myself. I mostly enjoyed watching, but occasionally I would participate. And it was fun. Those were good times.
You ever seen the people that poke and instigate, antagonize? They sit on the outside. And then when you have a fight, it's just the two of you in the middle. And there's a large circle around you because they want to see the blood fly. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what happens. Doesn't matter what high school in the world you're in, that's how it happens.
And everyone now is pulling out their phone and filming.
Yeah.
You start a fight. There was one time, actually, there was this Mexican guy named Apollo.
Named Apollo?
Different Apollo. Obviously.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. A Mexican
That's
guy.
That's not even a Mexican name. He stole your name, bro.
And he decided to go after class one day. That's why I'm getting blocked out for telling the story.
You got blacked out.
He decided to go after class and was telling everyone in the science class at that time that he was going to go and punch someone after the class was over because the period ends, everyone goes in the hall. And so everyone follows him with their phone, including me. I'll admit it. I was following him. I wanted to see what happened. And so everyone followed him and he went right to where the classroom of this other kid was and just started wailing on him. And this huge fight broke out and the police had to come. It was great. It was crazy. It was crazy. And this is the same thing. Everyone in the world is watching as these two are fighting. The only difference is there's financial ties, there's obligations, there's treaties. No one came and defended that other kid. No one came on the side of Apollo in that scenario, which is, it is weird saying that, but this is different. Now we have to get involved. We can't just watch from the sidelines. And so it's scary. And
I would agree with that.
What about you, Joe? What's your craziest fighting story? Is it the one you already told me with the three guys? Is that the craziest one?
No, that wasn't the bloodiest for sure. But I've had lots of bloodier fights.
We could do a whole show just covering your fights.
We could do a whole show on fights. We could do a whole show on fights as an adult. Like not even just my fights as a teenager, but as my fights as an adult. I was a pretty good fighter as an adult. And my friend would always try me on. Like I had this friend, he's a big dude. He played for the what's it called? He was a linebacker for the Raiders. And so we would go out, and he's a big black dude, just and he had a chest that was like, I don't know, 18-inch chest. He's a big dude, big dude. And so he kept doing this thing. He'd like get up on me and be like, "Hey, Joe, you know, you got what you gonna do? What you gonna do?" And I was like, "Oh, what am I gonna do?" Boop! I put him on his back with his hands underneath him. Right? And I just sat there and tapped on his chest and made him apologize and beg me to let him up. That was just a little fun we were having. But we used to get in fights all the time. Me and my brothers, we would go look for fights. And we didn't look for fights. We started the fight, but everywhere you go, you would find yourself. This is before Jesus, by the way, just so we're clear. This is before Jesus. Everywhere you go, there's always someone that thinks they're tough. And the problem is that most guys that think they're tough don't talk. So we just sit there and you start laughing at the guy that's picking on people, and you're just shaking your head. All right, so can I tell a story? Can you guys want to hear a before Jesus story? You want to hear a before Jesus story?
I would love to hear a before Jesus story.
So I was at a bar and in Denver. No, it wasn't up Denver. It was off Hamden. And now I don't even know what it is, but it's this bar was a pretty cool place. It had pool tables and stuff in it. And there was this balcony, and it kind of like a half balcony, and below it is like a dance floor. So you'd play pool up here, and then you'd have a dance floor down there. So I was up playing pool, and I had a pool stick in my hand, and my buddy had just got done beating the guy at the table. So I was just laughing. So he walks over, and he gets in my face. And I had a pool stick. You know how you just stand, you're leaning on the pool stick? And so he kept talking, and I just kept looking at him. So I started smiling, like, what is this guy doing? And so he bet me. He's like, I bet you $20 I'll whip whip you. And I was like, okay, $20. Yeah, no, I'm good. And then, but he had the $20. He kept doing this in his hand, and he had been drinking. So I stuck that pool stick underneath his chin and threw him over, jammed it up underneath and threw him over on the dance floor. It's pretty funny.
Did you get your $20?
I got my $20. He dropped it. So I just picked it up, put it in my pocket.
Nice work.
And then I got kicked out.
Honest days living, beating people up with pool sticks.
I've never started a fight. I've never started a fight, ever. I've never started a fight, ever. There's never been a time that I've actually looked to start a fight. But, you don't have to look very far for back in the day. Now I'm a peacemaker. Chris says she loved to shoot pool with me. Promise I won't stick you with the stick underneath your chin. He just had the $20 bill, and I was like, looking at him like, who does that? Like, not even a fighting stance. He got too close to me. He let me too close to him. Then he stuck the thing, and he's trying to pull it out. Because if you stick that stick underneath your chin, it'll go up, right? Yeah. And then you just push it. And so he wanted to get over the banister, and he hit the floor like a rock. I just picked up $20, and they're like, you got to go. I was like, okay, bye.
That's before
story. Jesus. I just want him, if he's listening right now, I apologize. Forgive me.
He's going to ask for his $20 now, Doc Joe. He's going to say, you want to apologize. Send it in cash in the mail with some inflation going on. It's going to be 40 by now, probably.
Yeah. Well, we got a blast from the past. So before you go, here's something we need to keep in the back of your mind. In 2024, President Trump revealed that after killing Soleimani, Iran called him to let him know that they were about to send missiles toward a certain location, but they were going to purposely miss the target. They let us know, don't move. We're going to have to hit you back. So this is kind of a good kind of ending to what's happening right now. It's all kabuki theater, just theater. Let's play it.
Before you go too far, would have never happened with me. I had Iran in check. Do you know, we hit them very hard for something that they did, and they had to hit back. They feel they have to do that, and I understand that. Do you know they called me to tell me we're going to hit a certain location, but we're not going to hit it. It's going to be outside of the perimeters.
Who called you?
Iran called me. Called for me. And they let us know, and we had 16 missiles went off. I believe it was 16. 6 or 7 failed in the air.
When was this?
This was prior to the attack on a fort that we had where they hit back. Do you remember when they sent 18 missiles or 16 missiles? 5 failed. They let us know, don't move. We're going to have to hit you back. Psychologically, we have to do that because we hit them on something. You remember. They sent 16 or 18 missiles, and we knew they weren't going to hit inside the fort. And the media was going, and now I reveal it, the media was going wild because they say it's strange. They're very accurate missiles. How come they all missed? Nobody was killed, if you remember.
Yes,
with all of those missiles, nobody was killed. Now, they had to do it because they have people and they have to show strength. So they aimed the missiles, but they said, please don't attack us. We're not going to hit you. That was respect.
That courtesy is definitely gone now.
It is.
At this point, there is no more, we're going to call you, we're going to pretend like we're hitting back, which it's surprising Trump was willing to publicly state that. Kind of revealing the cards maybe a little bit too much. Now, and maybe next time they wouldn't want to do the same thing. Probably better not to say that. But it doesn't matter. There's a smaller country, way less powerful military. They really can't do much. The only way this turns into a major conflict is if the Israeli government forces it to. Otherwise, it won't.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And I think we should give everybody, before you pray us out, I think we should give everybody a little bit of advice about tomorrow. If you're in a major city, carry your gun. Carry your gun. In Denver, they basically say the protest edition, this is on the Denver Police Department. First of all, they want to, the Denver Police Department does not cooperate with ICE on federal civil immigration enforcement. The Denver police do not call ICE or any federal enforcement to support with protests. The DPD has different, they have different uniforms. So they're not having other agencies participate. Officers wear protective equipment like helmets and body armor to protect themselves against possible assault or injury while working close to protesters. You should be able to easily identify them and they're to support communities through the city and the first to respond in critical incidents. Okay, so just so we're clear, the police have never, ever, they like 1% of 1% of 1%, 1% to the 20th power is how much a police officer is there to protect you. Gonzalez versus V. Castlerock was proof positive that they don't have an obligation to protect you. So protect yourself. And here's the thing. If protesters get on your hood and try to come after your car, run them over. Run them over. I'm going to tell you right now. If it's you or them, you run them over. They decide they want to get violent, it's always +1. Not +2, not +5. You just make sure that you're doing the right thing. In other words, don't provoke them. Don't show, let idiots be idiots. But if you want to show up and provoke them and actually provoke a response, you can't just keep going back and forth. You're going to lose that battle. And if you're in a Democrat-controlled environment in a city that's Democrat-controlled, you have no chance of winning in court. Between 0 and none. 0. So you don't. So don't. Let them be stupid. But if they come for you, if they come for your family, they try to destroy your community, then you have an obligation to stand up against them.
Your family's in that car.
Yeah.
And it's surrounded by people who are banging on it, who have weapons.
Tell them to cover their ears.
You don't have a choice at that point. You have to act. And it is still possible they will try to charge you and put you in prison for the rest of your life. But at least you're protecting your family, and that's always going to be the right move no matter what. Ideally, avoid the situation in the first place.
I agree. All right.
And if you're watching on YouTube for the first time, make sure you are subscribing. The YouTube is growing quickly. We're getting a way higher like ratio on YouTube than on Rumble. So if you're on Rumble, come on, you guys step up to the plate. Rumble viewers, you need to
Hit
be
the Rumble on the way up.
On the same par as YouTube. That's the only way that it can be done properly. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and pray us out. Today's show was obviously about a lot of things that are very destructive and are scary in some ways. But at the same time, we always have God on our side.
We do.
And nobody can attack the United States of America, can make us feel unsafe without being utterly obliterated. And there's comfort in that. That's how we know God is on our side. Dear Lord, Dave miraculously was able to make it through his surgery. Today he is alive, despite having a 1 in 5 chance, a 20% chance of making it and still being here with us today. And somehow, some way, because of you, he is still here right now. It's the most incredible thing. And help him to continue to be able to heal. He is not out of the woods. There's still chemotherapy. It is going to be a very, very difficult road ahead to deal with this monster. of cancer that he's dealing with right now, but continue to be with him, continue to give him strength, and allow him to beat the odds over and over and over and over again. As we're watching the world unfold into chaos, bombs being dropped, apartment buildings being hit, kids, adults, innocent people, guilty people, everyone is in harm's way right now. Everyone is being hit. Give us the ability to see right from wrong, understand what side to be on, give our leadership the insight and the ability to make the right moves that are going to protect our country in the best way possible and result in the least amount of deaths. Help people to have clear eyes and see that peace is often the way forward. That sometimes intervention is not going to lead to a better outcome. Amen.
Amen. Everybody have a great weekend. We're having a great weekend.
It really is incredible, Dave.
Yeah, it is.
It really is incredible.
I didn't actually give you an update, but he pulled out around 12:30. He got out. He did have some complications related to his diaphragm, but he's going to make a recovery. He's in ICU right now. If you just give him his prayers, make it through that. And any infection, they did pull the entire growing tumor out of his chest. So we're just praying for the best and let him rest up for a couple of days. We get to go see him on Monday.
There we go.
That'll be good.
A 3% chance to a 20% chance, and now it is possible that he could make a recovery.
Full
That's
recovery.
incredible.
Yeah. He's still going to have to do some chemo. Yeah, for sure. So lots going on, but our friend Dave Bear is pulling through. So thank you for all the prayers. Thank you. You guys have a great weekend. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. If you're on the audio version, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more, go over, give us a 5-star review. And if you're on the BEK network, just I know we only go for an hour. You could pick us up on the Rumble station as well, or on YouTube, or any of the other places we're at, or on untamednation.com. Try that as well. And if you want a hat, because everybody keeps asking about my hat, just go to honorboundusa.com, pick up your hat. It's a pretty cool hat.
And a battle
Everyone
axe.
always says about my hat. I love my hat.
It's a great hat.
Yeah, love it. All right, have a great one.